In a world like Blue Lock where strength determines everything, the innate talent that somebody has correlates directly to how much they are valued. Even on the lower scale where something like the difference between getting natto for dinner or eating steak for dinner, or on the higher ends of things where we're talking about bids from 100 million to even 300 million. Talent is defined as natural aptitude or skill. In this case, it would be a natural aptitude for soccer. In this video, I'll be going over and ranking the top 5 most talented people that I think we have seen in the whole Blue Lock series under the age of 20. Keep in mind that this is my personal opinion and it is subject to change in the future, since the manga is of course still ongoing. But to start off, I have 2 honorable mentions that could have made the list, but don't due to reasons I'll get into later. The first honorable mention happens to be the main character, Isagi. When Isagi first joined the Blue Lock facility, he came in very near the bottom of the barrel, being number 299 out of 300. He didn't show us the talent that he truly had until way later on because of the mental block he had. We know that from his time playing with his high school soccer team, it sealed away his ego and he only regained it a little after Blue Lock started. We know from the novels he always had an acute sense of spatial awareness, being able to sense a storm coming or mosquitoes nearby. And that leads into his current main ability, Metavision, which he was able to gain by simply watching Cashapp play, and he was able to immediately put it into action as soon as he got onto the field. But aside from Isagi's spatial awareness and his direct shot, which is simply a shot in front of the goal, there isn't much to really say about his talent itself. Isagi got to where he is not based on his talent alone, but due to his sheer progress. Everything that he's gained in the manga aside from Metavision was gained through training, but the type of talent we're talking about here is intrinsic talent you already have, and for that reason Isagi doesn't make the list. Next up is Shohei Baro. Baro is blatantly called talented and prodigious by Mark Snuffy, and Snuffy even goes as far as saying that his specs in his mind are top class for a striker, not just in Blue Lock, but the entire Neo Eagles League. So it's clear that Baro has talent as a striker, but believe me when I say his talent doesn't come close to the other people on this list. Although Baro's potential is not to be underrated, as Noah and Mark Snuffy both agree that he's on the top level when it comes to potential to be the best striker in the world. So if this were a potential tier list, he would definitely be placed way higher, but since this is a talent tier list, he doesn't make the cut. Moving on to our first talent pick, this might be a crazy curveball to some of you, but it's Nagi Seishiro. Now I know Nagi's whole thing is about being a lazy genius and having amazing talent, but at least give me to the end of this video to convince you that there are at least 3 people with more talent than Nagi Seishiro. Now we learned in the light novels that Nagi Seishiro's talent doesn't stop at just soccer. He also carried his volleyball team to a very high status, his first time playing volleyball. So it seems like rather than being a soccer genius, Nagi is just a general genius on all levels. He can exceed on anything he wants to really do. When it comes to the game of soccer itself, Nagi has shown amazing talent. Even before awakening his ego, he was at the top of his wing of Blue Lock and was carrying his team with Reo, as well as Zantetsu. He was able to beat every single team in his wing, including Baro's team, all without awakening his ego. Now like I mentioned, Nagi is talented overall, but where his main talent comes in is his trapping abilities. Because of the way Nagi is able to loosen his body, he's able to track things with skills that surpass even Chris Prince's trapping abilities. This allows him to do multiple crazy things like shooting right off of a trap in ridiculous positions, and of course because he's so talented, he's able to make these shots. Even where there are teams like Team Z fighting through the Blue Lock selections, Nagi is able to do this quite easily and not lose a single match. He does things like this without trying at all, and he only begins trying when Team Z gets fired up, and he is forced to evolve. After this evolution, he's completely unstoppable, and he only really loses the game due to a foul made on him by Kuon. Even outside of the main story of Blue Lock, I believe the Blue Lock spin-off manga, episode Nagi, does a great job showing Nagi's prowess, showing him doing things like a handspin shot. Nagi's growth is currently stunted because he doesn't know how to truly evolve his own mind. This stems from the fact that he was always playing with Reo, who is a great all-around player and can be an assist to him very easily. Reo was always drilling his own plays and ideas into Nagi's head, and it leads to Nagi not having to think for himself whatsoever. And now Nagi has zero creativity and he seems to have stunted his growth. Now to be clear, I think the next 2 entries are pretty interchangeable with Nagi, but there is pretty strong reason to believe that they have more prowess than Nagi does. The first of these 2 entries is Kaiser, a German player that we were introduced to in the Neo Eagles League. The earliest showings we see of Kaiser are at his tryouts for the Germany team. In these tryouts, Kaiser teams out with the Alexis Ness and is able to dominate the field with his Kaiser impact. He was so strong in fact that he scored all 3 goals for his team, leading to him passing the tryouts and joining Germany. In my opinion, the Kaiser impact alone can get Kaiser to the top 5 in terms of talent. It's an ability that can't be learned by training and is literally made for the sport of soccer. Focusing all of his body's leverage onto his right foot, he's able to do a kick with unmatched speeds, even among the world-class level. After just seeing this ability once, Isagi deduces that this is the best ability and greatest example of turning a 0 into a 1, and it leads Isagi to even believe that Kaiser is the true and perfect embodiment of Blue Lock's ideals. But there was only one thing that Kaiser was missing: and that's hunger, or originality. For a long time during the Neo Egoist League, Kaiser thought that his power was perfectly fine. The only reason he came to the Neo Egoist League was to get a better offer and to leave Germany, because the Germany team is objectively Noah's team, and that's not going to change. And rather than coming to Blue Lock to expand his power, he came to expand his brand. He didn't have the hunger to go out and try to be better than Noah, and it would stay this way until Isagi forces him to change. Isagi and Kaiser's relationship is very similar to Naruto and Sasuke's relationship. While it is subtle, Sasuke and Kaiser both seem to have inherent inferiority complexes. To make up for this, they look down on people that they don't see on their level, those being Naruto and Isagi respectively. And because they look down on them so often, when Naruto and Isagi begin to reach these genius levels of power, it leads to their entire worldview crumbling. But Kaiser was able to overcome this crumbling feeling and awaken his hunger. As of now, Kaiser is fully committed to the evolution of his power in Blue Lock. And basically what I'm getting at is that Kaiser did everything before Blue Lock with a fragile and weak ego. We know that the ego somebody has, especially for a striker, can amplify somebody's power by lengths. But as emphasized by Kaiser's volume cover, where it shows that the chain around his neck is glass and, virtually just fragile, it seems like Kaiser's ego wasn't very strong. But despite all that, he's able to naturally gain abilities such as metavision and possibly even predator vision, as we see that he has the predator-like eyes whenever he's taking a shot, similar to Baro. Someone like Nagi, however, has never shown either of these abilities, and he doesn't need to because he has someone like Ryo on his side who does have this ability, but this sadly does take away from what we know of his talent. Moving on to the next spot, we have someone from the original Blue Lock selections once again, that being Kunigami. Now to begin the series, Kunigami was a pretty average person. He didn't show any truly exponential abilities except for his lefty shot, and his physical body was also quite strong. But other than that, he didn't really stand out too much. He was even valued lower than someone like Ryo by Shido, after Shido easily deduces both of their talents, leading to Kunigami going to the wild card. This is where things drastically change for Kunigami. Now we don't know exactly what happened in the wild card, but it was described as a secondary route for the losers of Blue Lock, where unusual philosophies were pounded into their heads. The lone survivor of this was Kunigami, and he tells us that he was forced to become ambidextrous in the wild card, and it was only possible due to his muscle mass and bone structure. And this is where the inherent talent kicks in. Because of Kunigami's bone structure and muscle mass, he's able to unlock a playstyle similar to Noah's because of his natural aptitude for being ambidextrous. According to Isagi, ambidexterity is something that's only present in less than 1% of humanity, and the level that Noah uses it at allows it to be an unrivaled talent. Now of course Kunigami doesn't use it to the same extent that Noah does, but this just goes to show the abilities that Kunigami could have in the future, because remember, he is still under 20. And the reason he gains this spot is because the talent that he has a way higher power ceiling than any of the other talents that we've said so far. And funnily enough, according to the data the ego is comprised, all of Kunigami's data is approaching that of Noah, which sounds absolutely insane. Moving on to the next person on this list, and this will be the final entry from the actual Blue Lock program. This character made it pretty clear that he has the most talent within the Blue Lock program itself, and easily has the ability to reach the world class level. This person clearly being itoshi. Being the brother of Itoshi, he was always destined for greatness. Similar to Nagi, he showed prowess in soccer before even playing the game officially. The first time we see Rin play soccer, he intrudes on one of Seitoshi's games and shoots the ball, scoring his very first goal. And while everyone else on the field was angry, rightfully so, Seitoshi was glad. He was happy looking at the talent that his brother held. And after seeing this, it led to him wanting he and his brother to become the world's first and second best strikers. Shortly after, they begin playing a lot together, and obviously they have ridiculous talent and plays together. But after Sei left, Rin didn't really know how to get better. He was of course doing his trainings and drills, but he didn't actually get anywhere. And this is mainly due to the fact that he had to fill in Seitoshi's spot for the team. Seitoshi's leaving made a gaping hole in the team's power that Rin wasn't able to fill on his own. Because of Rin's incomparable talent, he could only truly link up with Seitoshi, someone who recognized his talent. No one else on the team could give Rin the passes that he wanted, because even though he may be in the best position possible, no one else can see the position. Shortly after realizing this, Rin decides to change his entire playstyle. He stopped generating the ideas of the best play for himself and instead saw the game from the objective standpoint and began playing way more as a team player. This led to the team being exponentially better than before. In exchange for Ritoshi's ego, he began losing sight of the him that wanted the goals. He would be forcefully snapped out of this state by Seitoshi's return, where he turned his back on his own brother. He then begins playing for not the goal of becoming the best, but just to simply destroy his brother. With this goal in mind, he produces the best numbers in Blue Lock almost by far, only rivaled by that of Shido Ryusei. He's able to keep this #1 status all the way up until currently in the Neo Egoist League, being one of the starting strikers for the PXG team, and even being able to compete with both Isagi and Kaiser at the same time. And after losing to Isagi's 2-gun volley shot, It leads him to his flow state, in which he's pretty much unstoppable. Previously in this flow state, he was even able to beat his brother itoshi in a single play, and it was confirmed that itoshi was getting serious in this moment during a recent interview. This means that when U20 level Rin entered the flow state, he was able to fight at a world class level, and he does a similar thing here. Once reaching his flow state, he's able to dominate the field and everyone begins centering around him. And after making his amazing goal against Isagi, this is the moment where he truly begins to realize his true talent, allowing him to fully awaken his true ego. It's clear that Rin Itoshi has ridiculous talent, with abilities such as metavision coming pretty easy to him, as well as maybe even the predator vision that he showcased in the second selection. But overall, it seems like Rin's talent is truly only surpassed by one person, that being Julian Loki. Now, when comparing talent between the U20 players, someone like Loki's talent is completely incomparable to anyone else's. Loki, at only 17 years old, is able to easily play with people like the other World 5 members, who are all grown adults. Not only that, but there's good reason to believe that he's the best out of the 5. He's in a world that even the best people of Blue Lock can't even think about getting to. Most of this can be attributed to the talent that he was gifted by God himself, literally being called Godspeed. We've been introduced to numerous speedsters in Blue Lock, such as Chigiri and Zantetsu, but no one even close to the level of Loki's speed is so ridiculous that even when he starts trying a little bit, he's able to blitz through the Blue Lock team in the World 5 match. And even after that, he's encountered by Rin, who saw this coming, and even though he saw it coming, he still got blitzed, showing that even at lower levels of speed, he's way faster than anyone that encounters him, and even if you see him coming, he can just accelerate even more. And it's not even like Chigiri where he needs to build up speed to get to a ridiculous level. Loki's acceleration is also pretty insane. Isagi describes his acceleration as explosive, more similar to Zantetsu's ability, but he has the stamina to actually keep it up. To put more in perspective how ridiculous this ability truly is, in the Neo Egoist League, no one can really react to the Kaiser Impact, not even goalies that are at a high level, but Loki's able to react to the curved Kaiser Impact shot even after seeing it coming, and Isagi even says that all the logic he's accumulated cannot explain this. An extreme aberration like him is what the world calls a genius. But in the next chapter, Isagi even goes as far as saying that calling him a genius isn't covering it all. And naturally, Loki also has striking abilities such as an amazing shot as well as metavision, with his speed giving him the clear edge over everyone else in terms of talent.